Entering the atmosphere in T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by my pal and yours, Doominal Crossing. Doom, how the heck are you, buddy?
Doing all right. I was just telling you behind the scenes for a bit. There was some Dune shows, some Dune 3 tickets that were going on sale earlier this morning. So, I prepped my alarm up to get myself up a little bit earlier. And the entire website crashed, so we kind of failed miserably. Me and all three of my friends, we were trying to get some Doom tickets for the end of the year. We didn't get a single one of them. Not a big deal. We'll get our Dune tickets. We'll still be able to see it this year, but kind of a bummer because we went out of our way to do that. It sucks kind of because it's already a bummer that like concert tickets are like way more difficult to get nowadays because of bots, and it's starting to happen with like big blockbuster movies now as well, specifically for like the IMAX screenings in particular are starting to get really difficult to get nowadays. Like you certainly can't like just get a ticket, a couple days beforehand. You have to pre-order these bad boys like months in advance now if you want to see that on opening week. So I don't know, it's kind of a bummer to see like the trend of that going, especially how much I love going to the movie theater, and that whole theatrical experience. But it is what it is. It is the definition of a first world problem. So can't really complain too much about it.
You'll get to Dune, I'm sure. We got a long way to go. We're still 4 months away. Is that right?
Yeah. It's mid-December.
Mid-December, yeah. I'm still not convinced that it's gonna like end up releasing on that day. I think one of those movies is gonna change. Although it is a little bit late in the game for a change now.
No, I think they're locked into.
Frankly, you're right. They actually, now that I say it, they might be locked into this, and maybe it'll do like the whole the Doominal Cross thing again. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone's calling it Dunes Day right now.
Yes, dude. Dude. Okay, so I was online yesterday, and I'm just like, I'm reading an article on IGN, and it's like, here's your homework to watch, like the 15 movies to watch before Doomsday, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing right now? Like, man, it's gone too far. This whole thing. I know I sound like an old bastard yelling at clouds, but like it's too far. Just give like. You know what? If I want to go see Dune 1, I probably should watch, or Dune 3 rather, I should watch Dune 1 and 2. And like, that's it. I can live with that. But like,
right.
15 movies, like what's happening to us?
I mean, I don't think you actually have to watch all those movies. Like, I'm probably just going to rewatch Infinity War Endgame, and maybe just for some nostalgia, I'll rewatch X-Men 2 as well. But I mean, otherwise, I think I'm good.
I'm a little bit sad that X-Men is in the MCU now. X-Men has always been my favorite Marvel like property, and I don't know. I'm a little bit sad to see it kind of get MCU-ified a little bit. Like because before you would have your X-Men movies, and some of them were terrible, but some of them were awesome, and I can live with that. You know what I mean? Like for the ones that are awesome, like I'll take the Dark Phoenixes or I'll take the X3s, like just for that something special. And I feel like in the MCU, everything's just kind of like baseline good. Like it's good to really good. And this probably sounds more negative towards the MCU than it's intended to, but like, because there are some excellent films in the MCU, for sure. But it's such like a well-oiled machine now that it's just kind of like, it's like listening to a Nickelback song, and I like Nickelback, okay, but that's kind of how I feel. So I'm a little bit sad to see X-Men enter that fray.
I don't know. I'll see how I'm feeling after Doomsday, because I feel like Phase 4 in particular has been more misses than hits, but there've been some good stuff in there. Guardians 3 I thought was fantastic. Again, I was genuinely really surprised how much I came out really enjoying the new Spider-Man film. I was expecting it to be good, but I thought that was like one of my favorite films of the year, like in my top 5 easily. And so
That's
I don't
high
know.
praise.
Well, and so yeah, I don't know. We'll see how Doomsday turns out. I'm hoping it's good. I don't want it to be a bad film. There's
No, of
definitely
course not.
there are weirdos online that hope movies fail. I am not one of those. I want this movie to be awesome. I hope it's successful. But I don't know. It's phase 4 or 5, whatever we are in the MCU. It's kind of a crapshoot nowadays, so you never know. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Russos, Christopher McFeely, so I'm hoping they still got the sauce.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope that it does well for the people that are into it. I gotta say, actually, I've been watching the Batman the Caped Crusader, like it's on anime. It's like an animated show. It's actually like awesome. I'm really digging it so far. It's like the spiritual sequel to the animated series. It's very cool so far.
I heard that show was great. Yeah,
it's very like. It's very noir for sure. Like everyone's kind of a gangster who talks like Al Capone, and but it's really good. It's good stuff. So
it's the Bat.
It's the Bat. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got quite the show for everybody today. I think that we better tell people to buckle in, because Doom, last week we started off.
I was gonna say I gotta plug something before we get buckled in.
We'll get to the plugs. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Let's set the tone here, because I want people to put their seatbelts on, put on some music, and get ready, because we are going to be finishing our 40 greatest Metroid moments of all time list. But we should make mention of a few quick things. First, I had to take several days off playing it, but I was able to beat Metroid Prime Origins last night, yesterday, one of these days. This game was awesome, dude. This game was so great. We are going to be we're going to be delivering some Metroid Prime Origins content very soon, and we're going to have a full map on the website. We're going to have some of the ending screenshots. We're working on getting all those, so there's definitely going to be some support for Metroid Prime Origins over on OmegaMetroid.com. If you are wanting to check it out, if you're wanting to play, I highly encourage everybody to do so. This is like, I think, probably the best fan project since AM2R. I'm putting it out there.
Oh yeah, hands down. I don't think that's a controversial take at all. Yeah, that's a pretty ice cold, lukewarm take, if you will. Yeah, this game rules, man. I had so much fun with it. I don't want to get too much into our thoughts on it yet, because we will absolutely be doing an episode on this very soon, where we're gonna go into our meaty thoughts. Lots of spoilers. We'll be going all in on that, and we might have a special guest on that as well, without giving too much away.
Indeed. We'll definitely be talking a lot of Metroid Prime Origins, but you should definitely check it out. It was a good week for like ROM hacks and stuff, actually, last week. There was also I don't know if you saw this, Doom, but and I think you would appreciate this, but there was basically a remake of all of the Donkey Kong Land games, and they play exactly like Donkey Kong Country now, and there's new levels, there's new, like, it looks awesome. I have it downloaded and ready to go, actually.
I completely missed out on that. Yeah, show me where that is. I'm gonna jump on that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after we're done. It looks really cool, so I'm excited to get into that.
I'm one of the psychopaths that actually enjoyed Donkey Kong Land as a child. If I played it today, I'd probably hate it, but like, we made do as kids.
That's right. So yeah, lots of cool Metroid celebratory stuff going on, and one more, in fact, that was unleashed this week on the anniversary as Metroid turned 40. Doom, tell us about your project.
Yeah, so this is something that I was keeping secret for a while. Actually, it's funny because there's another project I was working on that hasn't been released quite yet that I told the staff about. I didn't tell anybody about this project until like the day before. I'm just like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm dropping this on Friday. GG's. But no, I remastered the original Metroid NES as well as the Famicom soundtrack in surround sound. And not to toot my own horn, but I think this turned out absolutely incredible. It's the Metroid soundtrack as you remember it. That's like the best way that I can sum it up. But if you directly compare it, like, to what's on the Nintendo Music app or or anything on YouTube, like, it is a night and day difference. It sounds incredible being able to hear this music in surround sound. Also added a little bit of a reverb as well to kind of emphasize that as well. And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It's available right now on OmegaMetroid.com in a few different formats if you want to download it. It's also on our YouTube channel if you want to play it on YouTube or stream it on YouTube Music. It's there for you as well. It includes some custom album art as well as, for the first time, custom CD art. So if you want to burn the soundtrack on a CD and print some CD art on it, I've included that with the download package as well. It's the first time I've ever made CD art for a project, so that was like a really fun experience learning how to do that.
I have a story to tell you. Okay. So, as you know, I've had a little bit of a rough week. Whatever. I had surgery this week, and I got a lot of drugs to take after the surgery was done. I'm sitting on my couch. I'm taking my post-surgery drugs, and I'm watching the CD spin and spin and spin on the YouTube video, listening to, like, Ridley's Lair. And I was like, yeah, this rocks. So yeah, go check it out. It's on OmegaMetroid.com. It's on the YouTube channel as well. Great work, Doom, and you'll have to keep us posted as to what could possibly be coming next. But Doom, I think it is time. We have a lot of road to cover here. We have a long journey ahead of us here to finish off the rest of the top 40 moments of the Metroid series. And so once again, I want to set the stage here before we dive right in. So first and foremost, I just want to quickly go over the rules of engagement for this list. So, like, what is a Metroid moment? Well, we've defined a Metroid moment as something that happens either in a game or in real world or whatever, something that just contains Metroid in it. Everyone would have had to experience it more or less the same way. So that's why you're not going to see things such as, like, exploring Phendrana Drifts. You might see something like entering Phendrana Drifts because you would get that same cutscene, but from that point on, the journey there is kind of your own. So that would be something that, again, everyone kind of has to experience the same way. And we've also put a soft time limit on what a moment is. So there's no like seconds or minutes associated with it, but it's generally something that has to be over in kind of a short amount of time to constitute it being a moment. So that is our criteria. We put together a huge list over on OmegaMetroid.com. It's the biggest feature that we've ever done for the website by far. All of our staff contributed to it, plus some guest staff as well, writing about why these moments meant something to them, what made them stand out, what made them special, and some of the rubric that we've been using here is like, okay, what was the overall importance of this moment to the Metroid franchise? What was the historical significance in video game fandom? What was the surprise factor? What was the effect on the Metroid fandom? Stuff like that is kind of what we judge what makes an important moment important for this list. So I think we should get into it, but I think we should recap 40 to 20 really quickly. Just rattle them off. If you want to hear more in-depth thoughts, go listen to our show last week. Go read the article. But Doom, let's get everyone up to speed with where we are. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, number 40, kicking us off. The Super Metroid 4-player race at AGDQ 2014, featuring 4 of the best Super Metroid speedrunners in the world going at it. Number 39, Phantoon emerges on the bottle ship. Yes, we did give Metroid Other M a moment on this list, and that was me. You can tell me what you think over on Discord. Number 38, the power goes out in the Xeno Research Lab for Metroid Prime 3. All of those crazy, mean-looking Metroids break out after you take the energy cell, and things get really gnarly. Number 37, Rundus is impaled. Speaks for itself right there. Number 36, the X infect Samus on SR388, so the opening of Metroid Fusion and the introduction of the Fusion suit. Number 35, Samus unlocks her legendary power suit from Metroid Other Missions. So after defeating the Chozo test, Samus finally has all of the abilities that she has acquired but not been able to use throughout the game.
Zero Mission, not Other Mission.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got other M on the mind. Can you imagine Metroid Other Mission? Oh God. Maybe that could be the next project from the Metroid Prime Origins guys. Make Metroid Other M in 2D and make it awesome.
You know what? Let them cook.
Oh man. Okay, number 34. The Galactic Federation troopers are wiped out by the Ing from Metroid Prime 2. A brutal cutscene that I think we all remember. Number 33, also for Metroid Prime 2, discovering Sanctuary Fortress, and particularly walking into I can never remember what this room is called, Doom. The opening like vista where you get the shot. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
Number 32. The lights go out in Phendrana Research Center. Immediately after getting the thermal visor, the power goes out. It's creepy, it's crawling with pirates, and it's an awesome moment. Number 31, Samus versus Dark Samus in Sanctuary Fortress. Going up the elevator, this is the second fight. You could have made a case for any of the three of them, but we felt that this one was the strongest. Speaking of strong, number 30, Samus versus Quadraxis, also from Metroid Prime 2. David versus Goliath almost. So an incredible boss battle. Number 29, Metroid Dread makes its first appearance. Ravenbeak in the opening cutscene asserts his dominance over Samus and leaves her for dead, basically. Number 28, Samus acquires Viola from Metroid Prime 4. Yes, Metroid Prime 4 is on this list. And I believe we might see it again on this list. I don't know, actually. But getting that bike was an awesome moment. Number 27, from another Metroid 2 remake, the Tower Escape Sequence. Arguably the best escape sequence in the entire series. You are running to try and escape a thermal nuclear reactor blowing up right in your face and running into a ton of resistance along the way. Number 26, Metroid Prime Remastered is shadow dropped. This is from a Nintendo Direct in February of 2023. An all-time great moment, I think. Seeing Phendrana. Oh, beautiful. Number 25, the SAX hunts Samus in Sector 2. Anyone that's ever played Metroid Fusion, you remember this chase. This is one where you have to freeze the SAX and get all those gates unlocked and somehow survive. It's crazy. Number 24, the baby Metroid helps Samus defeat Proteus Ridley from Metroid Samus Returns. That's right, we included Proteus Ridley. I know that there is some debate about Proteus Ridley, but we love it. And I think that was super, super awesome. Number 23, here we go. Enter Sylux, the Metroid Prime 4 gameplay reveal from the Nintendo Direct of June 2024. Who could forget the shot of Sylux flanked by two Metroids, the guitar riff coming in. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Number 22, Ridley's shadow looms large over Phendrana Drifts. A quieter moment, but no less impactful. Ridley's shadow, just this huge shadow over the quiet stillness of Phendrana. An unforgettable scene. And for Metroid 2, number 21, going from 1 to 10, the Metroid counter goes up. Just when you think there's only one left, think again. There is actually way more for you to do. That is where we've left off, and we have to pick it up right from there and finish off with number 20 all the way to number 1 on our 40 greatest Metroid moments list. I think we're up to the task, Doom. What do you think?
All right, let's bring it home.
All right, let's get started here, and I might let you take this next one away because I need a moment to recover my voice here after rattling all that off here. But coming in at number 20, we are going to the OG, and I believe this is the first time that this game is showing up on this list, but spoilers, it's not the last. Super Metroid, and that is Saving the Animals.
Yeah, you all knew that this is going to have to be on the list somewhere. I mean, this is like such an iconic Metroid moment. You know, we were talking earlier about, 4 players Super Metroid speedrunning. Is there anything that you can associate more with Metroid speedrunning than saving the animals? Arguably the speedrunning goal. Do we kill or save the animals? And saving animals, it always wins every single time, but we're always going to have that pull regardless. It's too good not to be there. And again, it was always good in its own right. I love that it ended up becoming this actual canonical event that was referenced in Fusion that's actually important to the story to a degree. Samus would literally be dead without these animals.
Dude, yeah.
As they basically repay her the favor in Fusion after she saves them in Super. It sounds goofy on paper, but it's actually really sweet and cute, and I kind of love it. Not kind of, I absolutely love it.
I think it's like a great moment for a lot of different reasons. Like, number one, just like going in there and just like saving these creatures, I think is just like a great moment of the game. If it had just been that, right? It's like, it's not quite an Easter egg. And again, like, we want these moments to be experienced by most people in the same way. Like, not everyone is going to save the animals, but I think a lot of people do. And like, it's just a sweet moment of Samus kind of like showing again some humanity that we will see elsewhere in this list. But like, yeah, this was also kind of an excuse for us to talk about the speedrunning community and like arguably the greatest donation incentive ever, like to any game. I can't think of anything that is more prominent than this, right? So I think that it really fits. It's always like very sweet to me that they showed up in Metroid Fusion. I would love to see them in Metroid 6, see where these little critters go. And yeah, this one was kind of a no-brainer. It was just a matter of like where on the list it was going to fall. So that's number 20. All right.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Let's keep it with Super Metroid, and we are going to number 19. Crocamire's brutal demise. And I actually am surprised that this one ranked as high as it did. I was thinking that it might rank a little bit lower, but I mean, like, every single time I ever play Super Metroid, I cannot even tell you how many times I've played Super Metroid, in the hundreds. And like, every time when the flesh melts off poor Crocamire's face, I'm just like, oh God. So like, definitely an impactful moment. And I really liked the write-up for this one in our article, actually, because Gooey Fame, my partner on Virtual Theater, and actually the Omega Metroid Patreon as well, we're doing a season of Gooey Plays Metroid right now. So he's playing Super Metroid, not for the first time, but for the second time. And his wife is playing with him and it is her first time experiencing Super Metroid. And like, I was watching on stream at her reaction at poor Croc just having the flesh ooze off of his face. Like, it is a gnarly moment. And man, you really do feel bad for poor Croc, don't you?
Yeah, and it sucks because it's like Crocomire is not a villain. Crocomire is just like this random creature just chilling out, doing its own thing. Has no agenda against you or anything. It's just a creature being a creature, and you just kind of interrupt it and just have to do your business. It's interesting because a lot of people have pointed this out, but it actually doesn't. It'll just stay and block the path, but it won't actually attack you until you fire the first shot, which also kind of just makes it even sadder a little bit. But yeah, it's on one hand, it's like this brutal, gnarly scene that's awesome, but it's also sad at the same time. It kind of occupies both of those emotional states for me.
Totally. Like, he's just in his little tunnel. He's hanging out. He didn't ask for any of this, and Samus just kind of shows up. Unfortunately, it's if there was a way to get by. I mean, I guess no matter what, even if you could just get by him and not have to, take him out, he'd probably be worse off with the planet exploding and all that. But it does kind of make you feel quite villainous here as well. So, on one hand, you have Samus saving the animals. On the other hand, you have Samus maybe not so much with poor Crocomire. But yeah, an unforgettable moment. And that's not even including the fake out at the end, too, where I think all of us thought, like, okay, here we go. We're about to fight the ghost of Crocomire and his bones, and one of the all-time great fake outs in Metroid, I would say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that whole sequence is so iconic in the community. Speaking of saving the animals, I'm still sad that we couldn't save the tortoises,
bro.
In Meridia.
I know,
that still kills me.
I like legitimately think about that a lot. Like, just like somebody needs to make a mod where somehow there's a second little scuba ship that makes it off Zebes before it explodes, and And we see them in, maybe not in Area 4 in Metroid Fusion, but somewhere down the line we see these turtles, and they're doing okay.
Yes.
Maybe in the Super Metroid remake we can get that scene. I would love that. Okay, let's continue here. Number 18. This is a banger. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, Samus, Meta Ridley, the Shaft boss fight. This is so awesome. I think this is one of the coolest Ridley fights in the series, as we've talked about multiple times. It's such a creative fight. It's got an intensity. It's got an energy to it. You are falling. It's straight out of Lord of the Rings when Gandalf is fighting the Balrog. I don't even think they try and like cover that up so much. It's just It's a really cool homage. The fight is just like so incredibly intense. The cutscene where Ridley just boom like takes you and it comes right down just looks absolutely awesome. And of course the coup de grace, you have got Rundus coming in for the save, which kind of fuels moment number 37 where you can't save Rundus later yourself. So everything about this fight really, really works. I think it's just like so cool. And arguably like the high point of Metroid Prime 3 is like that bombastic intro. Like I think you could very easily, like it's like a James Bond intro. Like it's just like really action packed and unforgettable. Like the whole intro to me would be worth like including, but as just like a snippet of that, this boss fight I think for sure is like the right choice. And I wasn't surprised that it made it this high actually, because I know you and I are big on it, but the rest of the staff as well seem to kind of be like, yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, this is my favorite Ridley fight in the series. It's such a it takes advantage because Metroid Prime 3 is a much more cinematic type of game than the Primes 1 and 2 are, and I feel like this fight really shows that new cinematic approach to it at its absolute best. And you'd think it wouldn't be as much of a fun boss fight because your movement is a lot more limited. You know, you don't have an arena that you're moving on. You're pretty, you and Ridley are in this closed, condensed shaft. But that honestly just kind of makes it way more awesome because both of your because it's extremely, because in spite of like it being a lot more cinematic and more of an action packed scene than like an isolated scene, it still feels very claustrophobic, which is peak Metroid. And so I feel like they find a really clever way to like meld those two sensibilities together. And it's not just claustrophobic for you, it's extremely claustrophobic for Ridley. I love like the art direction and the design where he's like falling down the shaft and he's like trying to slow his fall by spreading his wings and his claws on the arena, and there's like metal and sparks and shards flying off. It's such a and you can see like smoke coming off it too, and he's like screaming in pain during the whole thing. It's such a visceral boss fight, and then occasionally he'll get up close and grab you and try to get up all in your face. So cool. I love opportunities in Metroid where specifically in the Prime games where like an enemy could just get right up in your face. Doesn't happen too often. I think this is like one of the best one of the best versions of that though.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that there's like, you know me, I like my Ridley fights kind of like brutal and visceral and feeling not so much like a puzzle, but just like an actual drag 'em out brawl. And this I think really captures that. And I think you're right. Like the confined space and like how literally you're like on top of each other really adds to the atmosphere for this fight. So yeah, I think it's one of the best. Like I think it's one of the best Ridley fights in the series. I'm not gonna say my favorite because we'll get to that in a moment, but well, let's just come back to that in a moment. Let's go to number 17 here, Doom, from Metroid Fusion. Samus discovers the BSL restricted zone. Awesome moment. Again, not surprised that this one ranked super high. The entire game has really been leading up to this reveal, and I think by this point, certainly, you've seen some scenes with Adam and like the shadowy Colonel Volgan or whoever that is.
Yeah.
A travesty that didn't make our top 40 list actually for Metroid Other M. But at this point, you definitely, the game has planted the seeds in the players' minds. Like something is not above water on the BSL, and you just don't know exactly what it is. And And here it is. Like, this is a really, really awesome scene. And like, for a couple of reasons, like it really just kind of shows like the seedy underbelly of the Galactic Federation, who really have kind of been portrayed as this like Jedi council of like, never make a mistake
up to this point.
Yeah. And like, it's just like visually, it's just like a really cool reveal, because you have the test tubes with all of the like the infant Metroids in there. You see like the different Metroid evolutions, which was really, really cool to see at the time as well. And of course, the scene with the SAX, where the SAX is going crazy and destroying the entire facility. I can't remember at this point. Do you know that there are 10 SAXs, or does that come after?
That comes directly after when you talk to Adam right after. Yeah,
dude, I think that could have almost been like a moment itself. Like, yeah, I think you tie it into this moment, but like, I will never forget hearing like there are 10 SAXs on the ship. Now they don't really do anything with that,
right?
But man, like I'm sure that you two were just like, oh my god, like 10 of them. I can't even take on one of them. But yeah,
I feel like if the SAX was treated like it was an X Fusion and you had that kind of payoff to it, I think absolutely. But I think otherwise, I think otherwise it's just something you kind of tie into the summary of this moment. But yeah, this moment, I mean, this is arguably the moment of Metroid Fusion. Like this is the climax, like the big bombshell reveal of this game, and I well earned, I think. And still to this day, I'm waiting for that follow up. I've given up hope, but like in the back of my mind, I'm still waiting for that follow up. But yeah, and it's so cool because technically up until this point, Samus really hasn't directly disobeyed an order. There's been times where she's done things without necessarily getting approval, but she hasn't directly disobeyed any orders before. But this is like the specific thing on the list. Like, hey, you are not allowed to enter this area. Stay out of this area. And while there isn't really, you don't really get like one of those Samus monologue cutscenes where she talks about her thoughts. It's just kind of the natural game design that just kind of cues you in and lures you in, which I think is so awesome that, the level design just kind of like lures you into that. Because so before the restricted zone, you approach that, and then there's this audio cue that says unauthorized entry or whatever, and that attracts the BOX robot that you have to fight. Great boss fight as well. Did not make our list, unfortunately. And you get the wave beam from that fight, and that wave beam is what allows you to bypass the security system. The classic reverse door introduced in Super Metroid.
Yes.
And yeah, the game just kind of lures you into there, and then before you know it, you're in the restricted zone and everything plays out. What I love about the SAX entrance in particular, you don't actually see it break through. You're traversing the facility, and then all of a sudden, once you're on the top level, you just hear like a bunch of alarms going off. The room is like blinking red, and you can't go anywhere else. All you can do is go backwards. And by the time you re-enter the room, you just see it absolutely causing chaos. And then the Metroids break free and start swarming, and you actually, for the first time, you see the SAX like vulnerable and dying, which is like before this point, it was like indestructible. And so it's such a crazy scene all around.
It's like an awesome scene. I could have even seen this one creeping up a smidge higher on the list.
Yeah.
But I think that this is a great spot for it. Yeah, this was this was just like this might be actually probably the best scene in Metroid Fusion to me. And man, just like that whole sequence and the escape sequence too out of there is just like what a wild sequence here. Okay, let's go to number 16 on our list here, and we are going to my favorite boss fight in the series. That is from Super Metroid, Samus Ridley Norfair, the rematch. It's on. You've heard me talk about this boss fight many times before. I just think that this is like such an amazing boss fight for so many reasons. Number one, because the build up. Like you get the pulsating music, the narrow corridors, the Ridley imagery leading up to it, the space pirate fight beforehand with the golden space pirates. It feels like so personal, and it feels personal because Ridley has come in and stolen the baby Metroid earlier in Super Metroid. And not only this, but Ridley also came to SR388 in Samus Returns and tried to get that baby Metroid then too. So it's really a personal thing between you two. And then you get there, and this fight, I love this fight. There's no weak points. There's no strategy. It's just like, I'm going to hit you and you're going to hit me. And one of us is going to walk out of here and the other one is not. And this fight is just like absolutely nuts. It's like a missile barrage like Samus has. So when I do this fight in my Super Metroid playthroughs, I will usually, like, if I'm playing the game, not speedrunning, but playing efficiently, I don't know, I'll usually have like 70% of like all the ammunition that I need going into this, like of all the available like expansions. And dude, missiles and super missiles are just flying, and Ridley is an absolute tank, and he just takes it and he gives it right back. Fireballs coming out, his tail is going crazy, the classic pogo, boom 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 boom, all over the field. When he picks you up, this fight is so awesome. Like the amount of just like actual brawling that is in here. Like the only thing that could make this fight better is if like Samus could like throw a kick or an elbow and Ridley just like kind of do the same thing back to like really kind of get across like the physicality of this fight. I just think that this fight is just like two barbarians coming at each other, and they're just like not holding anything back. All the marbles are on the line, and let's not forget, this fight is the fight for Ridley. This is it. Ridley, it's a huge joke how many times Ridley has come back, but like this is the fight that finally, definitively, for now, is the one that Ridley has never come back from. And I think that's just really, really adds to the atmosphere here. I love this fight, dude. I think it's so great. This would have been the top 5 for me. I know that it's I'm definitely the biggest proponent of this fight among the team. I think most other people probably would have had it a little bit lower on their list, but this fight, dude, my blood starts boiling. Like I feel like I rise up like Frankenstein's monster, and I'm just ready to rock every time that we get to this room, dude. It's so great. It's so great.
Yeah, I'm happy that this fight made it this far on the list, because I definitely was not expecting it, but I was like, okay, I know how much this fight means to Andy. I'm gonna join him and try to advocate to make sure that we get this on the list somehow. I was expecting this to be like pretty low on the list, if even that. So I was like, I'm pleasantly surprised that that like a lot of the other staff was pretty on board with like, yeah, let's put it in the top 20. And yeah, while this isn't my personal favorite Ridley fight, I totally will understand why it's your personally favorite fight. Because yeah, you pretty much just summed it up right there. Like it is probably the single most personal fight in the entire Metroid series. Just with everything. And again, like Samus Returns only adds that, but even ignoring Samus Returns, just that short but simple Super Metroid opening, it just gives you all the rage, the anger, and the passion that you need to just want to kill this thing and put it into the ground. And boy, what a visceral fight that it is.
Yes. I was a little bit worried, actually, that I might have been pushing too hard for it. And I tried not to. But then I was just like, I hope that the rest of the staff doesn't, like, support this just because I like it. You know what I mean? Because I know you wouldn't do. Like, yeah, I know you'll tell me. You're like, whatever, man. Like, just, like, I trust that with you. But I was like, I hope the rest of the staff feel the same as well. And they just, like, legitimately love this fight. Because I just, like,
yeah, everyone lit up. They were like, yeah, put it on the list. Let's go.
Yeah. So I wasn't expecting it to make it this high. Like you said, I was kind of like, this is more of a me moment. But so I was very, very pleasantly surprised that it made it up to 16 on the list. But like, I also think that there are like a lot of the reasons I laid out. Like, I do think that it makes for a great cinematic kind of fight. This is going to sound like a really strange comparison, but I'm going to make it anyways. This reminds me of Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul from Phantom Menace. It's
You
Qui-Gon
know
and
what?
Obi-Wan.
It is a strange comparison. I can kind of see it though. You have Maul
That fight
trying to
has the
kidnap
same thing, because there's a lot of like
Yeah.
it's not just like lightsaber work. Like Maul is kicking, he's punching. Like there was a lot of like really just like bad blood in there. I don't know. I've got it on the brain, Phantom Menace, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. So yeah.
Well, no, it makes sense because like earlier in the movie, you know, Maul is trying to kidnap Anakin. Now, unlike Ridley, he fails unsuccessfully in this
Yeah.
attempt. But yeah, now he's but it's similar enough. I get what you're saying, and you have 3 Jedi at their prime, just going all at it. And then after, you could argue that like after Qui-Gon dies, you do kind of have that same kind of rage-induced, like I'm gonna put you into the ground that
dude.
Samus is feeling towards Ridley. So yeah, I get what keep cooking. I dig it.
You know, super quick side story. At the Zelda Dungeon Marathon, Gooey put on he's gonna kill me because I can't remember who actually like did this, but like, there was a table read of the script of Phantom Menace, and like Haley Joel Oswalt, or I think that's his name, was playing Anakin. It was super funny. It highly recommend for everyone. And Google Phantom Menace table read, and you will find this. It was absolutely great to listen to, especially late at night. So yes, that's number 16. Let's go to number 15, Doom. Oh my god, we've only done a couple of these. We have a long way to go here. The final Chozo memory from Metroid Samus Returns. I will be the first to say I was surprised that it made it this high. Pleasantly surprised, maybe, but I was not expecting this to be like a contender for the top 20, but I think you look at this and it's not hard to see why this resonated with a lot of people. You know, for the entire series, really, the Chozo are presented as this like benevolent, harmonious, spacefaring, enlightened species, and here you have a singular still image that kind of just completely gets that image out of your head and shows you like some of these Chozo do not fit into that mold, and in fact some of these Chozo, just like us, may be motivated by greed or by power or whatever have you, but this is of course our introduction to Ravenbeak. We didn't know it at the time, but here he is, and it's a gnarly scene of him kind of slaughtering a lot of the Thoha Chozo tribe. So this one, I think, like almost more than any other moment on the list, is really it's over in a second, but like it's really impactful.
Yeah, I think even more so than the Ridley Norfair fight. I think this one was the biggest surprise for me with how far it made it up. But again, like you, I'm so happy it made it this far, because I think it's one of those scenes you don't really think about this particular scene too much anymore, but like the moment it happened, like I remember just being absolutely shook when it happened, because let's set the stage here. So we just beat Samus Returns. It's the first original 2D Metroid game that the first 2D Metroid game that we've played from Nintendo since Metroid Zero Mission. It's been a long time coming. We finished Samus Returns. We're like, oh my gosh, that was great. I had so much fun. I have 100% of the items now. Let's check out these Chozo memories that we unlock with the items. And you know, when you're looking at the Chozo memories, it's still playing. It plays the theme of Samus. It's, you know, this very upbeat, triumphant, you know, theme that da 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 da. And you're going through all these scenes, you know, for the first time, really canonizing and showing like the Chozo creating the Metroids, trying to combat the X. The Metroids, they lose control of the Metroids. They start evolving and they start quickly killing off the Chozo colony. And so you're finally like seeing this, canonized for the first time and seeing like what went down. It's like, oh, this is so cool seeing this all happen. And then you get to the final scene, and I feel like it's the way that this scene is presented that makes it on the list. Because I think if it's just the still image alone, it doesn't make the list. But it's the way that this image is presented, the way that it surprises you. I think that's what makes it so impactful. Where at first you just see who we now know as Ravenbeak, just kind of standing over, you know, the last survivors of the colony that looks like, you know, they're being saved by this other tribe. They seem grateful. And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, without warning, the screen slowly starts to do a crossfade. It gets this grotesque bleeding red color during this crossfade, and the music becomes distorted, and you get this super creepy low tone drone replacing this triumphant theme of Samus. Very atonal in comparison, as you see what looked like, this benevolent Chozo savior completely slaughter the last surviving Chozo. And I just remember sitting there with my jaw drop, looking like a YouTube reaction thumbnail as this whole thing is going on. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah,
like I had like the hair on my spine was like straight up. Like I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
and of course it ended up paying off
for another game, like for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The red, I think you're right. Like the red really sold it, and you could see Ravenbeak's arm cannon still smoking. Like it's
that's a fresh shot.
Gnarly stuff. So yeah, was pleasantly surprised that this resonated with so many other people on the team. And we had a lot of people push for this as well. So that gives me hope that actually they weren't just agreeing with us. They really wanted this one, because I think this was higher than both you and I would have imagined it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go over to number 14, and here we go. This what a moment this is from Super Metroid. Power bombing the glass tube to get to Meridia. The start of one of the most proud traditions in the entire Metroid Legendarium, the glass tube bombing. Simple, but I gotta think that, because even when I played Super Metroid, like I played it in like 1999, and I know that the secret was hidden in the title screen, but like, man, nobody looked at the title screen, right? Nobody was looking at that. But even back then, to me, I was like, I think I went to GameFAQs.com and found out how to proceed, because I was like, I don't know how to do Meridia. These are like the early days of the internet, and I think that's what I did back then. I would have just like loved to see someone playing this in real time in 1994, like discover this. That would have been so awesome. And yeah, like I guess, like I said, you could have watched like the opening title screen and let kind of the video plays out, because it shows a crystal flash, it shows this, but like, man, I think this is just like so cool, just kind of like a who would have thought. And you know what, another thing that I'll say too, actually, that I didn't even think of is again, so we were doing Gooey Plays Metroid, and Goo did the wrecked ship, and he went into Meridia the other way, like from behind the wrecked ship, and went all the way around. And he was kind of pointing out, like, yeah, there's actually like a second glass tube that shattered right by this one in the lower area by the safe station. And he's like, I guess they give you a little bit of a hint there. And I was like, I didn't even think of that, but that's like really smart kind of environmental storytelling. Like, you're right. So I think it's just like a really cool aha kind of moment, almost like a Zelda moment, where you just figure a puzzle out and you're like, aha. And we've seen it come back in Metroid Fusion, Metroid Prime, Metroid Dread, Metroid Zero Mission. Like, it's a staple now of the series. So it's a crazy thing to see a glass tube and kind of get excited, but that's what this moment has done to Metroid fans.
Yeah, this is a funny one, because this is actually one that you weren't super advocating for, which surprised me, because you're the Super Metroid guy, and I'm like, wait, how are you of all people not? This is like such an important moment. Like, this has to be
I would have put it on my list. I wouldn't put it like this high on the list personally, but and that's probably because I kind of take it for granted. Like, it's like, yeah, you bomb the glass tube, right? Which is why I would love to be, back in time and just see that or experience that.
Yeah, the glass tube. I think the glass tube is so impactful, even as someone who technically experienced it way out of order. Because I bombed the glass tubes in Zero Mission, Prime, and even Prime 2 also has a glass tube as well. I bombed all those glass tubes. I bombed all of those glass tubes before the Super Metroid one, and even still, there's something about the Super Metroid glass tube that's so, pun intended, earth shattering. There's just something about the way that it's presented, and maybe it's because, like, I don't know, I can't remember if it's this way in Zero Mission, but at least in Primes 1 and 2, those tubes, you can still scan them and you can still see that it's, that they're made of like bendesium or whatever the material is called. There's like cracks on it, so you can tell that it's damaged. The one in Super Metroid, there's no signs of structural damage. The X-ray visor, I don't really think like will block it out if you scan it or do anything like that. It's just kind of this thing that you just kind of have to try out. And yeah, there's something about that moment in particular where it's just like where you're just kind of like fumbling around and trying to figure out what to do. You can see enemies like on the top of the screen, so you're like, I feel like there's some way that I can get up there, but I don't know how. And it's like you just exhaust all your options, and finally you're just like, I'll try a power bomb, I guess. And at first it doesn't do anything. There's like a little bit of a delayed reaction, and then all of a sudden, after like a second passes, then it starts to crack. And maybe it's that delay. Maybe it's that delay that adds that extra little bit of sauce there. But there's something about it where it's just like, oh my gosh, that actually worked. I didn't think that would work, but it worked. And I feel
the
like
crunchiness too.
I feel
very
like
satisfying.
Yeah, I feel like the combination of the way that it's presented, it being the first time that it's done, even if I experienced it out of order, and of course the fact that it spawned, this lovely tradition in the series that everyone loves. I feel like all of those three combinations is what makes it this high on the list. I think it absolutely deserves to be this high, personally.
Okay, so we move over to number 13 on our list, Super Metroid. The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace. The opening of Super Metroid here, March 19th, 1994, Metroid is back, and what an absolutely iconic title screen and an introduction to one of the greatest games of all time. I really, really liked the write-up that Rod Lloyd did for the site here. He was like, this is basically the Metroid equivalent of a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I loved that line. I think that this intro was so atmospheric. So the music just fits so well with everything going on. You see the remains of the scientists at the Ceres space colony, and of course you get the last Metroid itself. Quite the foreboding atmosphere. Really, really sets the tone for Super Metroid, and honestly, like, I would say for the Metroid series as a whole, like, this was a lot of people's introduction to Metroid, and this kind of tone setter I thought was like so great. Yeah, this is absolutely one of the great, I think, Metroid moments. I was happy that it made it this far up. I wasn't expecting it to, actually. I didn't think that we would have it like so high up on the list, but just seeing this again, it's a very short moment, but like seeing it and taking it in, it's just like it's one of the, you know what, it's like watching the title screen from Ocarina of Time, actually, would be my comparable, where it's just like you just kind of sit back and they're very different feelings, but like it's just like a wow, like there's just like a lot of like really cool like emotions happening here and feelings. So I'm really, really pleased that this one made it as high as it did.
Yeah, back when we did our title screen rankings of the series, yeah, this was our number one choice, and I think a very good pick for the number one spot. It's like arguably, like, I love a good. We've talked about this before. There's a trend in a lot of Nintendo games nowadays where they've omitted the title screen. You just go right into the adventure, and I don't like that, or at least I don't.
No.
At least I don't like it in the At least I don't like it in the scale that they do it. It'd be fine if it was like a game or two here and there, but so many of like the big single player games just omit the title screen now, and I don't like that. I feel like an effective title screen that immediately sets the tone and like gets the ball rolling, like right there on the screen, can be so powerful. And I feel like this is just such an incredible example of that, where you have a bunch of zoomed in shots of like the facility with like the foreboding music, and then and then you zoom out to see like all the dead bodies, and it's such a creepy moment. You just have the Metroid still in containment. It's not like it's broken free or anything. You have these dead bodies, and you see this, the Metroid hatchling that Samus rescued from the last game just sitting there. It's I know you're not a SpongeBob guy, but Cole Patrick Star, he's just standing there menacingly. And it's it's such a powerful moment, regardless whether or not you know the context of the baby Metroid beforehand. And of course, you later play the game and you finally understand the context of where those bodies came from. But when you start the game, like, the game wants you to believe that the Metroid itself is the reason for the bodies. And I guess in a kind of extrapolatory way it is. It's the reason that Ridley came down to the station. But no, I love that, like, that bait and switch. I love it immediately. It's an intriguing mystery that is set off right from the get-go. And then, of course, Dan Osen's iconic line, the last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace, to officially start the adventure once and for all. Just absolute masterclass in storytelling. I hope Metroid 6 starts off that way.
Oh, dude, can you imagine? That'd be so sick. And it's just Samus in a jail cell.
Yes,
that would be cool.
Just Photoshop the Samus's helmet on Mario in the cell from Mario Sunshine.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, let's move on to number 12. Metroid Zero Mission. The Zero Suit sequence begins. This one I feel like was a little bit of a stretch in terms of like what is an actual moment, because we didn't exactly define the moment, but we all knew that we wanted to include this because from start to finish, like, this moment is super, super awesome. So technically it's Samus's ship gets shot out of the sky just when you think the game is over, and she is then forced to go into the pirate ship in nothing but her Zero Suit and with her paralyzer stun gun. And that's technically the moment. But I mean, like, really, we're talking about the entire sequence here. And there's really nothing in Metroid like it at all. It's really, like, I just remember playing this for the first time. And I think, like, a lot of people, like, for me, the moment almost isn't so much that the sequence begins. It's that there was more game to play.
Right,
because even though you didn't have all the abilities yet, like, you didn't have your power bombs, you still had these 3 unknown items, but it felt like, okay, well, Mother Brain, that's a very climactic boss fight. The game is over. Like, that was a great remake of the original Metroid, and nope, you've got an entire sequence left in this game, and it's the most memorable sequence, I think, of Zero Mission, and really kind of like, it really elevates Metroid Zero Mission from just being kind of like a remake to something entirely different. Because it's like, this sequence, I feel like, really gives it the identity that it has. And legacy-wise, I mean, introduces the Zero Suit, which is arguably more popular than like Metroid itself at this point, right?
Right.
But just like a really, really fun stealth sequence, really innovative gameplay, and just kind of like really daring to take Samus and put her at her absolute weakest. I look forward to this every time I play Zero Mission. It's the highlight of the game for me. I think that it is really innovative and really creative. I would be down for like a whole game of this, to be honest with you. But yeah, a great moment, and I think right where I would have it on my list as well, and kind of that in and around the number 10 spot, top 10 area.
I think it's really interesting that that these two moments, I guess a little bit of a spoiler. This is going to be the final Zero Mission moment on our list here. I think it is really interesting how both of the moments we have on the list is the beginning of the Zero Suit sequence and the finale of the Zero Suit sequence, which I think says a lot to just how powerful this whole thing is. But yeah, absolutely. Like I agree with you. I feel like the moment for me is like the Samus's ship getting shot down, and the reveal, one, that, seeing the Zero Suit for the first time, and two, that the game isn't over. You still have more to play. That to me is the moment itself. But the entire sequence is like just, yeah, it's an absolutely wonderful highlight of the game. I've talked with a couple folks here and there who aren't a fan of this sequence. I am certainly not one of those. I always love the Zero Suit sequence. It's really interesting because, like, it is arguably one of like the most unique and differential Metroid gameplay sequences we've had in any Metroid game. And you think like with a game that's kind of, going back to the basics of, Metroid 1 and, Super Metroid, you'd think that this, they wouldn't try to do something like this, but they did. And it works so well, I think, because of how much it stands out on its own too. Samus pretty much handles, almost identically to the power suit, but she's a lot weaker now. Like like a space pirate hit will take an entire energy tank off her now. There's also no health refills unless you go to the save stations, which now replenish your health. But otherwise, there's no like pickups that you can get from like enemies or anything like that. And yeah, it's just it forces you. It gives you that same, a lot of the same movement options from Metroid, but it forces you to play it in a much more different way, in a much more methodical way too. And it's fun on the first time when you don't really know what to do and everything, still feels very labyrinthian and maze-like. But even once you really adapt to everything, it's so fun to master and pull off a lot of the tricks and some of the fun shortcuts and techniques to like bypass some of the alarms and quickly escape to some of the rooms a lot quicker. The sequence just absolutely never gets old. It's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest, highlight of Metroid Zero Mission for me.
I'm totally with you. Yeah, I can't even fathom like not liking this sequence. I just think it's so great. It's so different and really I think earns its spot on our list here for sure. Okay, we are almost at the top 10. We're going to number 11 on our list, and wouldn't you know it, we are going back to Super Metroid. And this is a moment that is stuck with me forever, and that is Samus landing in Criteria. And again, there's not really a whole lot to this moment, but Samus's ship touches down and Samus comes out. She's in the power suit. The sprite work here is incredible. The power suit looks incredible. The ship looks incredible, but you have the rain and the wind just blowing against Samus, creating an unforgettable shot of Samus landing on this alien planet. And there really isn't much more to this moment, but the power of that, where the music is quiet and the legendary hunter is on this planet one more time to embark on another incredible adventure, and just seeing it's similar to the last Metroid is in captivity, where it's just like the imagery of this moment is just so powerful, and it's again yet another tone setter for what you are going to experience for the rest of the game. It's unbelievable, like, and it's something that really, like, you don't even, like, it's hard for us probably to talk about because it's just one of those things you have to see and you have to feel, but
yeah,
it's unforgettable to me, and without fail, every time I play Super Metroid, I'll touch down, take a second, and be like, okay, let's get to work.
Yeah, just take a second to let the atmosphere soak in first.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. This is one that we were both like pretty heavily advocating for. So I'm definitely glad it made the list. Actually, a part of me is surprised it didn't go up a little bit further, but I think there's another very similar moment we're going to talk about in just a little bit.
I think so.
It felt weird. It felt weird to have them back to back almost. We needed to put a little bit of space between the two. But yeah, this moment is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, when I first played Super Metroid, this moment instantly like stood out to me, of just like, again, just that that indescribable atmosphere that Metroid is just so good at concocting. Like, it's like, it takes your breath away. So yeah, just that, just the way that Metroid concocts like its introductions, to its atmosphere, and the way that it just takes your breath away. And it does it in such unique moments every time. Sometimes, you enter Phendrana Drifts or Sanctuary Fortress, and your mind is blown by just like the sheer peace and the beauty, or just the crazy art direction. That isn't really what Crateria is, though. Crateria is something completely different. You're just kind of and awestruck. It's just like the
desolate.
natural terrain. Yeah, the desolation, the music. I feel like Samus Returns as well has a very similar intro when you touch down on
Yeah.
SR388 with its own kind of drone track, and there's just something so powerful about that in its own. That's the moment itself, but I cannot talk about this moment without also talking about the trek downward into
That's
Zebes,
right.
because another huge part of this is, you know, going into the ruins of Turian, where you fought, you know, the very first battle, where you actually see that a bit of that flashback in the Super Metroid prologue as well. And, you know, just seeing these destroyed ruins, you know, you'll see insects fly away as you approach them on, you know, all the destroyed componentry and all that. It's so unsettling and yet weirdly peaceful at the same time. Again, it's such a unique sensation that, like, really I've only seen Metroid pull off.
Yeah, it's it just the rain, the music, the atmosphere, the ambiance. It is such a strength of Metroid to create this atmosphere and this feeling of like this planet, whatever planet that you happen to be on, is alive and a central character. And I think like Super Metroid really does such an incredible job of that. Because like the first two games in the series weren't necessarily able to do that as much, and here it's just like, man, they really nailed it. And like you said, there is another moment that is, I would say, like the sister moment to this, which we'll talk about as well. But we'll get there. We are in the top 10, Doom. So let's keep going here, and let's bring it home. We have a long way to get through. It's been an hour, but we're halfway through, so we're gonna finish this bad boy off. Number 10, AM2R releases on Metroid's 30th anniversary, and I was a little bit surprised that this one made it as high. I was pushing for it to be pretty high on the list. And I think that this one was like a really monumental moment for a lot of different reasons. And I think like context really matters here. So to get like the full impact of this, we have to go back to the mid 2010s, and Metroid is in a bad spot. It's
the worst spot it's ever been in. It's not good.
You might argue it's the worst spot. Like in between Super and Metroid Prime was bad, but like at least you had some glimmers of hope there. This was a really rough patch where you had seen what Metroid was capable of if it had gotten the push. You know, the Metroid Prime trilogy, like Zero Mission coming out, like a good spot for Metroid, and then it just kind of fell off. And Other M had came out. You had just had the disastrous announcement of Metroid Prime Federation Force. Plug to our upcoming Metroid Prime Federation Force 10-year anniversary shows that are going to be coming out here. But like the franchise had never felt lower. I think like it was just in a really bad spot, and the 30-year anniversary was coming up, and you know, in August the 6th of 2016, and Nintendo certainly was not going to do anything, and so it really felt like the fans of Metroid, and I didn't even know about this project at the time, but like just in hindsight, it felt like the fans of Metroid were like, if Nintendo's not going to do anything, we're going to do it ourselves, and we're going to just pool a lot of resources together and create this absolute love letter to the Metroid franchise. And we have to shout out Milton Guasti for his work and his dedication and contributions to AM2R and the rest of his team as well. But Guasti really, he was the guy almost that kind of grabbed the bulls by the horn and was just like, we are doing something for Metroid's 30th year, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be another Metroid 2 remake. And even if the game would have came out and been like fine, I think that would have been worth celebrating. But like the fact that AM2R comes out and it is one of the best games I've ever played, just full stop, like one of the best games I've ever played. To take nothing away from Metroid Prime Origins, like that to me feels like an absolute perfect fan game, right? Like it kind of feels like that to me. Whereas AM2R feels like a game that Nintendo published. Like the quality is such an insane caliber for a fan game like this that it actually is like almost beyond belief that it happened. But this game was so good, and not only was it so good, it was the whole game, which is very, very rare in terms of like fan games. And it really kind of just showed the Metroid community, I feel like, at its best. And everyone was celebrating and everyone was rallying around this game. And the legend of AM2R kind of got even bigger after the whole Game Awards DCMA debacle, which unfortunately would cut, AM2R's not life short, but like any future. I shouldn't even say any future developments, but obviously it meant that Guasti and team had to stop actively working on it. So I feel like this was such a monumental achievement just for like the whole game releasing, the quality of the game being what it was, the fandom coming together, and it was the start of the resurgence of Metroid, because like not long after that you get Samus Returns, then you get Metroid Dread, then you get the announcement of Metroid Prime 4. It felt like this was kind of even though it Nintendo would obviously never acknowledge it, and I'm sure that they had plans for Samus Returns well before this, but like it felt like this was finally like the shock that Metroid needed to get back on track.
Yeah, I feel like AM2R perfectly encapsulates what we were talking about during our 40th anniversary episode, where it's like, on one hand, like, yeah, I want Metroid to be successful. I want as many people to play this gem as possible. And I know I'm sad and even a little bit jealous that some of those other series did get to achieve that more mainstream recognition that Metroid didn't. But at the same time, because Metroid, I don't want to say underground, but a little bit more niche than some of these other series, as a fan, you do feel a little bit more tight knit in that community. And that's not just, obviously there's tons of fan projects, Mario ROM hacks and fan projects, Zelda ROM hacks, Pokemon, etc. Like there's no shortage of fan projects across the Nintendo spectrum, but there's something about, I would say Metroid and Earthbound, those types of fan projects feel very personal to those specific communities in particular. Just because you really do feel like this closeness that you don't really get in other fan communities, just because you do kind of rely on each other when Nintendo isn't there to provide the goods. And AM2R is kind of the perfect encapsulation of that, where it's like, hey, we know Nintendo's not going to celebrate this anniversary, so we're gonna work our butts off and make this fan project to kind of do it justice. And for those that played it, I think we all agree, boy, howdy, did this game do us justice. And the fact that it did kind of unintentionally kick off this Metroid resurgence is kind of just like the cherry on top as well. And, you kind of do have something, obviously not in the same light because Metroid's in a much better place now, but you do have something kind of similar right now as well with Prime Origins on the 40th anniversary, where even though Metroid's in a much better spot, we all knew that Nintendo wasn't going to do anything. But hey, here's an entirely brand new game right here. Play it right now. And so, yeah. And then, yeah, AM2R, just an absolutely wonderful game. We already did a bunch of episodes on it last month, so definitely check those out. And please play AM2R if you have not played this game yet. It is so easy to install. Even if your computer is a lemon, it can probably run this game just fine. You are missing out if you are not playing AM2R.
100%. Cannot encourage that enough. And a massive moment for the Metroid franchise, I feel like. So well deserving of its top 10 placement on this list. Let's move over to number 9, and we are going back to 2018. The Nintendo Direct, the E3 Nintendo Direct. I think this was E3. Yeah, E3 was still a thing in 2018. And I remember this E3. There actually wasn't like a super big Nintendo presence. I remember they announced Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I was like, man, I guess maybe they're doing Smash Bros in the main event, because we'd had the tease with the Inklings, and they did Smash Bros. And this was a moment that Metroid fans have been waiting for a long time, and that is Ridley revealed as a playable character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And not only that, but like, this was the main event of E3. This was the one more thing of E3. Ridley main eventing E3. A big deal. And the cinematic was really cool. He killed Mario, he killed Mega Man, he showed down with Samus. Uh, and it was just like it was just kind of cool because like you go back to Super Smash Bros. Melee, the unforgettable opening where Samus is fighting the awesome pre-render of Ridley, and it's like, man, this Ridley could be a really cool character in Super Smash Bros. And it felt like he might get in there because like you were starting to see, especially with Brawl, like a lot of the series villains were also getting in, and it felt like they were trying, but they just couldn't do it because Ridley showed up twice in Super Smash Bros. Brawl as a boss, but he wasn't a playable character. And then in Super Smash Bros. 4, he was like that like on-screen boss or whatever the hell that was.
Stage hazard,
yeah. Which I was just like, what is this? And it was other M Ridley too, which is gross.
Yeah, just to twist the knife a little bit more.
And so it was just like, is this gonna happen? And finally it did. I thought the design of Ridley was really cool. It didn't look like it came from any like actually like official Metroid game. Almost, it was like almost like an original creation ish.
It's an original design, but I love the design. I thought they knocked it out of the park.
So just like a really cool moment, and like a lot of people had been waiting a long time for this. You could argue since Melee for Ridley to show up, and you know he finally hit the big time, as the splash card said.
Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting direct because Smash kind of carried the whole thing. I think it literally takes up just under half of the direct time. And you know, I think most other games couldn't get away with it. I think Smash Brothers is one of the few exceptions that can absolutely get away with it. I definitely was super excited at the time, and of course, you know, I think for most people the big moment for this direct is going to be Everybody Is Here, which honestly, that's a fair pick as well. That was also.
Let me interject that didn't do anything for me. I was just
really?
Like, no, because I was like, I don't care. Like I feel totally fine that Pichu and Young Link and whatever are cut. Like that just feels like bloat to me, and it still does. Like we did our Smash Bros episode, and I was cutting people like crazy. So like, I actually was kind of underwhelmed by the ultimate reveal. I was happy Ice Climbers are back, but I was just like, yeah, okay. Like that's just a lot of filler here. And then Ridley comes in, and it's like, okay, now there's some killer with my filler.
Well, I think for me, I should be talking about Ridley, but I'm talking about the other stuff now. But like, I think with the other stuff, like if you just put in the context, like, oh yeah, we're bringing Pichu back from Melee, then I'd be like, okay, well that's weird. Why are we doing that? But I think it's more so just like, hey, all of these characters that we haven't, you know, the big ones like, you know, Snake, Wolf, you know, as well as a bunch of like characters we didn't expect to come back, you know, like Cloud from Smash 4, you know, having all those and be like, hey, this is the first Smash Brothers where none of your faves are getting cut this time. And we're committing so hard to the bit that even all these other random BS characters are joining the mix as well. That to me is like what made the moment so magical. But yeah, anyways, going back to the main event, because I don't want to get sidetracked too much. Yeah, this was such a killer moment. And I remember just being in kind of disbelief when the scene first opened up and seeing Samus's footsteps on the catwalk. I was just like, there's no way. There's no way. And like in the back of my mind, I knew it was going to happen just because of the tone of the scene. But I was like refusing to believe it. Just like, there's no way. And then immediately, as soon as Mario gets killed off screen, I was just like, let's effing go. Also funny, there's a YouTube video of me way back on my YouTube channel. You can see me many shots in, we'll say, reacting to this reveal while very much under the influence. If you want to check that out, I think it's a very funny little flashback, but yeah, you'll have to go to my YouTube to check that one out. Yeah, and my God, what a reveal this was. Honestly, of all the things I lost my mind at, it was the Meta Ridley skin reveal where I like went absolutely cool. Nuts. Like I was already going crazy, and then there's that brief flash where you see the Meta Ridley skin, and I'm like, that's it. That's the costume I'm using. That's the one right there. Man, and then of course,
Meta Ridley, Proteus Ridley, Super Metroid Ridley, like it was so good. So good.
Yeah. And then it finishes off the trailer with this final smash where he literally sends Samus back onto her gunship and blows it up. I was just like, yo, this is gnarly, man. He looks so cool. This was absolutely going. I think pretty unanimously, everyone agreed this was going into the top 10.
I think so. Yeah. Like so a little bit of a spoiler. So when I thought of this list, I had put together my own mock, like not quite top 40, but I did the top 10, and I was like, these other moments I think are contenders to be on this list, if not move them up or down or whatever. This was always a top 10 moment on my list.
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, let's continue, and we go to Metroid Dread. And here we go. What a moment this was, dude. Samus transforms into a Metroid. The Metroid suit is out, and she cleans house over Ravenbeak. And dude, this was so awesome. Like, the game had clearly been hinting at this for a long time, right? Like, and it pays off the moment earlier where you're wondering, like, why didn't Ravenbeak just kill Samus in the very beginning? Well, it's because he needs that Metroid blood that she has. And, immediately preceding the Ravenbeak fight, you have kind of the scene where Ravenbeak is taunting her, saying that he's her father and, like, creator and stuff. And I know that didn't land for everybody, but I thought it was cool. And then you get to this fight, and they had teased it in the Emmy fight right before, where she clamps the Emmy's head and just, boom, sucks the juice out. So at this point, you probably know what's coming, but I don't know if any of us expected the entire transformation into the Metroid suit. Dude, this was so killer. Like, the suit, first of all, the suit looks awesome. This looks so freaking badass. The way that she just bodies Ravenbeak after getting her ass kicked by him, like, the whole game, is so awesome. Yeah, throwing in actually a little bit of the final boss fight in here as well. That's an incredible final boss fight. The cinematics in there when Ravenbeak goes, like, full Sephiroth on Samus, I think is just, like, so incredible. But man, just the eyes of Samus, seeing her transform, it's like a very body horror type of reaction, and getting to play the final escape sequence in that Metroid suit with the final beam that you have, it's just like, oh my god, it was so awesome. I have to see this come back. I gotta see it. I gotta see it in Metroid 6. It's gotta come back.
I'm going to make another weird comparison, and I think you're going to be on board with this one. But when I think of, like, the Metroid suit transformation, I think of the Green Goblin transformation in the first Spider-Man movie, where, I can't remember the doctor's name, but he's trying to resuscitate him, and then there's just a close-up of his eyes. He just immediately eyes wide open, and then boom, immediately he's the Green Goblin and goes into action. That's kind of what this scene reminds me of.
Okay.
Throwing it back to, like, our late 90s, early 2000s references. But yeah, this is, God, what a moment. I mean, first off, like you were talking about earlier, this boss fight is absolutely insane. This is, I don't want to spoil too much for a future episode, but I really like this boss fight. I'll just say that. And then, yeah, what a way to finish that fight off. Like, it's Samus, at least what you think is Samus, at her full power versus Ravenbeak at her full power, just going at it, duking it out. And then Ravenbeak has the upper hand. He's not going to win, but in the scene, it looks like, he's finally going to, just fully extinguish the life out of Samus. And then you just see that close up, the eyes wide open, and then how have we not mentioned the scream yet? That legendary scream where she just it's arguably the most pissed off Samus we've ever seen, and it's absolutely phenomenal. The way she just latches onto Ravenbeak and just does not let go, unleashes all the Metroid energy, absorbs it into full power, forces the ship to crash land. Just such a bombastic, easily, like, one of the most incredible Metroid moments of all time. I think this is another one, and I think we were all pretty
easy.
adamant that this was making top 10.
And another great thing about this moment as well is it's yet another connection between the baby Metroid and Samus, who really, like,
yes,
the entire series revolves around this relationship, as we will speak about shortly. Probably not much of a spoiler there, but, like, it's just, like, it's so poetic to me that these characters are just so deeply intertwined with each other. Yeah, this moment I feel like was just so. It was like the perfect combination of like awesome, like it was just really cool, very poetic, and just had big time. Or I'm hoping has big time ramifications on the series going forward. So it's kind of got like a little bit of of everything that you kind of want in a Metroid moment. So just super great
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, she was indeed quite ravenous in that scene.
Indeed. We'll see. We'll see for the future. So, okay, let's go over to number 7 on our list, and this is kind of the sister moment to Samus landing in Criteria, and here we go from Metroid Prime. Samus lands in Talon Overworld. And again, this is something that you just kind of have to experience. It's the 3D version of landing in Criteria, but it's the fact that it's in 3D, I think, gives it a little bit more power, and that you can see it through Samus's visor. You touch down, the rain is falling. There's a gentle waterfall in the distance. This beautiful green, lush clearing where it's perfect conditions for Samus to land. That music, dude, that music. Oh my god. I think that might be one of my favorite tracks in Metroid. That's like,
fair.
it's so
Yeah, the first
it's so powerful, I feel like. And again, like it's just like it's the planet telling you like this is going to be a character here. It's the environment setting the stage for what is going to come. Nicole Scott did a very poetic entry on our list. I encourage everybody to go read it. It's a feeling that just comes over you every time, and especially, dude, seeing this again in Metroid Prime Remastered, like, oh my
god. Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about
man.
it.
Holy cow.
Yeah, this is another one that I was super heavily advocating for just because of how personal it is to me. I've said it before on the podcast. This is the moment where I became a Metroid fan, was landing on Talon 4. Like, I already enjoyed, what I'd played of Metroid Prime previously, but this is the moment where I realized that, like, whoa, this is something else. This is I have stumbled upon something extra special.
Yeah.
That I need to savor and not take for granted. And yeah, to this day, there are very few experiences that really give a sensation quite like this. And I feel like, and again, it's obviously inspired by Super Metroid. I think it's quite obvious in like the imagery, but even then, I feel like both the Super Metroid and the Prime versions of this all stand on their own. They create very different sensations despite the very similar imagery. Super Metroid, like we were talking about before, it's very desolate. It's peaceful, but there's still like the sense of unease. You don't really get that with Talon 4. You previously you're on the pirate frigate, which is this gross, dingy, kind of cobbled together, messy kind of disarray, spaceship that's in the midst of like a parasitic outbreak, and you contrast that with yes, this very desolate, well, I don't even want to say desolate. Like, there's no signs of like, intelligent life, but, life is still going on this planet. You still have flora and, flora, fauna, and all sorts of wildlife, plant life, just, living on, doing their own thing. And nature continues to thrive, and it's such this beautiful moment. There's so much detail, even in the original Metroid Prime. Like, obviously the Prime Remastered version is god tier, but like even the original Metroid Prime moment, like there's so much detail packed into those scenes. Like, everyone talks about it, but the rain dripping down Samus's visor and splashing on the arm cannon, it's a touch that like you just didn't really see back then, and it just that small little attention to detail just made it feel like you were landing in like this real place despite how alien it was. And it's again,
it's a magical
moment, kind of like what you were. Yeah, like you were saying with Super Metroid, where you just kind of have to sit still and take your breath for a moment. This is what this scene does for me in Talon Overworld, where I'm just like, wow, despite the fact that this is on a TV screen, I feel like I've been transported into this game. And of course, like you mentioned, like Kenji Yamamoto's music, his arrangement of Brinstar here reinterpreted is just, I couldn't think of a more perfect track to introduce you to this new location.
Dude, it's It's like magical and breathtaking. And like to point out something you said too, like I remember like playing this and yeah, I did the frigate Orpheon and I was like, this is awesome. But like when I touched down on Talon Overworld, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be one of the best games I will ever play, and it was. And it lived up to that moment, I think, for me. So yeah, this was another one that I thought would be a contender for top 10, and I think everybody kind of experienced it in the same kind of fashion as well, because there was no pushback against this one being as high as it was.
Actually, I'm actually tearing up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so good, man. Like it's just like absolutely so good. Okay, let's on that note, from one of the highs of Metroid to another high, but in a different way. Let's go to number 6. The most unforgettable entrance in the Metroid series, bar none. The SAX arrives in the BSL, and we all know the shot. We all know the scene. The SAX, Samus goes down the elevator. She's going down, and the camera lingers for just a little bit too long. What's going on? The wall on the left. And you see Samus? That can't be Samus. Samus just went down. And then the shot that is famous in the Metroid world. Samus's face, or what could be Samus if she was not who we know her to be, with those blank, cold eyes. And it is literally like watching your worst nightmare come to fruition. It's super quick, but man, it really kind of begs the philosophical question, like, what if Samus was evil? Like, what if she was not heroic and not empathetic and not the character that we know her to be, and instead was this cold, calculated killing machine, this virus that is just like literally the personification of power, but with no morality with it. It's such an unbelievable moment. The SAX face has been done a lot, but like just seeing that original, like those eyes, like, oh my god, those are, like, you talk about an unforgettable introduction. It doesn't get any more, it doesn't get any bigger than that, you know?
Yeah, this might be one of, if not the most iconic shots in like all of Metroid. Like if you're talking about like screenshots like that are like ingrained into my mind, this is like easily like in the top 5. And I would say it's pretty high up there in the top 5. It's just, yeah, absolutely incredible. I also remember just freaking out and losing my mind seeing the recreation of like that shot in the Metroid Dread prologue. That was also really gnarly.
Dude, that was
but
so sick.
We're here to talk about. But we're here to talk about Metroid Fusion, and this is like the WWE intro to end all WWE intros. Like absolutely unforgettable. It completely sets the stage for everything. It's creepy, it's unsettling, it foreshadows all of the encounters that you're going to face off. It proposes questions because at this point you probably realize that, like, okay, this is what happened to Samus with the X parasite at the intro. Something happened, but you still don't quite know exactly what's going on and what the motivation of this this corrupted X variant of Samus is. And so it like immediately it plants like a little seed and a mystery in your head as well. It's a short scene that is doing so much all at once, and it creates this just absolutely unforgettable, unbelievably impactful moment. Honestly, this is one where if someone could probably convince me to put this up even higher than what it is, but it's absolutely a contender for top 10 without question.
Yeah, we're like, I would say from, I don't know, number 8 down. I could buy any of these as number 1. Like like any of these. Yeah. If someone is like, this is my number 1 Metro moment, it's like, yep, okay. And let's continue that as well. Going on to our next, I have to say, our next one, I was surprised that it ranked as high as it did, but I felt vindicated.
Me too.
So yeah, number 5, Metroid Dread. Speaking in Chozo, I'll end this once and for all. Dude, I thought this was the best moment of Metroid Dread. I loved this moment. And I remember saying that this moment was awesome. And I remember Dak, and I wanted, I don't know if you were as negative as Dak, but like, he was just like, oh, this moment sucked. It was Samus seeing a Chozo and blah, blah. And I was like, what? Like, am I being gaslit here? Like, this is awesome. Like, this was such an amazing moment. Like, dude, hearing Samus speak is such a rare thing now. Hearing her speak in Chozo, I thought was like so awesome. And dude, just hearing her say like, I got this. I'm going to end this. And we're going to finish this for good. Like, I actually like cheered my ass off when I heard this. Like, I thought, like, I was fist pumping. I was like, this is so awesome. And it really stuck with me. I thought it was the best moment of Metroid Dread. And I thought maybe there were more people that were not as high on it just due to that reaction. But like, I think when we were doing this list, every single person on the team was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, this is a killer moment, to the point where it was like in contention for like the top spot almost. Like, I just, dude, speaking of Chozo, I mean, that's good stuff.
So I don't remember exactly what my reaction was, but if I remember correctly, and again, I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, the big thing with me with this scene is that I was stupid when I was playing this game for the first time. I didn't realize that was Samus speaking. I thought that was some voice. I don't know why I thought this. It's so ridiculous, but like I thought that was like some character on like a radio or something. So I was like, oh, what was that? What was that voice? What's going on? It's again, I don't know what I was on. Maybe it was the sleep deprivation for putting so much hours into this game, but I digress. So my issue with the scene wasn't with Samus at all. I thought once I realized that was Samus speaking, I thought that was awesome. It's like, oh, it's, we don't get to hear Samus speak that much. We got to hear her speak, and we got to hear her speak in Chozo. That's really freaking cool. Dude. My issue was just kind of how the Chozo in general were handled in this game and how they don't feel like as big of a deal as I felt like they should have. But that was more so with the Chozo itself, not with, Samus speaking Chozo. I had absolutely zero issues with that. Again, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think in hindsight, this moment absolutely is just, such a wonderful moment. And yeah, it's very like it's very Samus. It's very straight to the point. I'm gonna end this. And I feel like because her speaking Chozo, like it does, carry those roots of, her origins and her traditions with her as well, which I think is like such a cool way. Like it would have been a really cool scene if she did speak in English, but because she speaks in Chozo, that just like takes it up to a whole other level. That's what makes this a top 10 moment.
I totally agree with you. Like, English would have been cool, but like this was just so awesome. Like, I like just actually stood up and cheered when this happened. And I was like, this is so unbelievable. I thought it was just like the coolest thing. And you know what the other thing too is that like, I don't want to beat up on it, but like, we hadn't really heard Samus talk a lot since Other M. Like, I guess that's not true, actually. You'd seen her talk in Federation Force, and you're kind of like, ugh. So, like, the last couple games...
That's different, though. That's text bubbles. That doesn't count.
But the last couple games where you'd heard Samus, like, speak, even like, text speak, it was just kind of like, like, I feel like they don't... I feel like they don't necessarily get what makes Samus so beloved. And just like the simple dialogue here, like the confidence, the assuredness, I was like, this is my Samus, and this is who I want. This is who I wanted in Metroid Prime 4. Like this Samus.
Yes. It was on both of our minds. We had to say
it. yeah. And man, I just like, what a great moment. I am surprised that it made it as high up as it did, but like every single person I think was like really for this moment, and without us like campaigning for it either. So that was cool to see.
Yeah. I think our staff members just kind of brought it up immediately after the moment we're going to talk about next. I think one of our other staff members just brought it up, and everyone just immediately joined in like, yep, number 5, lock it in.
Let's go. Number 4 And before I say this, I want to say I went ahead and I went into business for myself on this list a little bit, because I was like, I feel very strongly that the top 3 moments are 1, 2, and 3. And there was a little bit of discussion about it, but I did kind of I put my foot down a little bit, and I was like, I think this is the top 3. I think if there was more discussion, this next moment very well could have contended for number 1 for a lot of people. We're going back to June 2021, the Nintendo Direct, and after 16 years, the resurrection of Metroid Dread, a moment that no Metroid fan will forget. And it's hard to put into words, but especially because on this podcast we had just done an episode talking about the game that never was, Metroid Dread, and going through all this, the history, the cancellations, the rumors, the ghosts of Metroid Dread. And I'm sure, like, I'm sure that it was just like, 1, oh my god, it's a new 2D Metroid game. 2, oh my god, it's a new 2D Metroid game for the Switch, and it's an HD and it looks awesome. 3, oh my god, it is releasing in October. But like 4, it's Metroid Dread. Wow, like unbelievable. And Doom, you actually, we had to cut back some of your write up, which we are going to release in long form.
Yes.
At maybe the anniversary, the 5-year anniversary of Metroid Dread, which is coming like right up actually, which is crazy about what an impactful
we're
moment
like,
this was.
Yeah, we're like less than 2 months away. That's like crazy to think about. That Metroid Dread is like 5 years old now.
Wild.
So I actually completely redid the write-up because I didn't want it to be super derivative of this new write-up that I'm gonna do to celebrate the 5th anniversary. So the new one that I'm gonna do on the 5th anniversary is gonna be completely different from what I did. But the one that is going to be adapted for that is kind of the original draft of what my write-up was on here. But yeah, you want to talk about personal Metroid moments? It doesn't get any more personal than this one. This is without question my all-time favorite Metroid moment, and I've said it on the podcast, genuinely one of the happiest moments of my life. And I'm being serious when I say that. You know, Metroid, was such a huge part. It's been such a huge part of my life in general. Even before the podcast, like, it was this game that meant so much to me on, a whole bunch of different levels. And I remember in elementary school, specifically not paying attention to lessons in class and doing like little doodles of like what I thought Metroid Dread was going to be. And, if I could like get a time machine and, whisper in, little Doom's ear, like, just be patient. You're gonna have to be, don't get me wrong, you're gonna have to be very patient, but it's gonna happen someday.
Oh,
and it felt like it was just such an incredible payoff. And again, something that like very few series in general, even much larger series, get to have. Like, I joked about this during the video call, but like, I like to call these moments like Half-Life 3 moments, where like, this rumored game, this almost memed on game that everyone talks about for ages that never releases, and it's so rare that even Half-Life 3 doesn't have its Half-Life 3 moment. And some series that do get their Half-Life 3 moment, you end up getting like a Duke Nukem Forever, and Metroid Dread is not a Duke Nukem Forever. This is an absolutely incredible game. It's my favorite game on the Switch. It's a lot of folks' favorite Metroid game of all time, which is valid. The fact that this game lived up to almost 2 decades worth of hype is absolutely unreal. Like, that is such a testament to the quality of this game. But yeah, man, just being in that direct in that moment where Shinya Takahashi, he mentions, hey, Metroid Prime 4 development still going smoothly. We're not quite ready to show it off yet, but in the meantime, here's another Metroid game. And immediately all of us Metroid fans were like, oh, this must be Mercury Steam's next 2D Metroid. Let's go. Yes. Is it another remake or is it a new game? Please be a new game. Immediately Samus drops down and it's the new suit, and it's like, okay, this has to be a new game. Is it Metroid 5? Right after Metroid 5. Let's go. We're getting the sequel to Fusion after almost 2 decades. Then we get to see the Emmy and a gameplay, and it looks unbelievable. It's HD Metroid for the first time. And then the Emmy attacks Samus, and you just see the white Metroid logo in the background. Pause for a few seconds. Dread. And
oh, dude.
That moment, I had an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
That was like...
Because we had done some shows where it was like, okay, maybe the next game could be like... I think I pitched like in 2020, like Metroid Dreadnought, you're on a ship or something. It's a little tongue-in-cheek to the... But nope, they were like, we're giving you Metroid Dread. Like this, and man, it was just like an absolute unbelievable like feeling after all that time. It literally felt like something that had died had come back to life and been like resurrected as something else. Like it was like, I've been a Metroid fan for 30 years, and that was one of the top moments in, like, I'll say like my video game life, and video games are a huge part of my life. So like that was such an unbelievable moment. The getting that, like, I had people messaging me all day. I'm sure you did too. It was just like pandemonium. And you know what? The fact that it came out in like 3 months from the reveal was the cherry on top. But like just seeing Metroid Dread, dude, like that was, whew, man. Oh man.
Yeah, and again, if you want to see my reaction as well as a giant compilation of folks reacting, both folks who had no idea what the context of this was, as well as people who did, it's a really fun compilation I did. That's also on my YouTube channel. I revisit that on occasion, and that just always brings me so much happiness. Like and again, like it happened almost 5 years ago. It's so unbelievable how normal Metroid Dread is. You know, Metroid Dread, the best-selling Metroid game of all time. It's, you know, the Metroid game that more people have played than any other Metroid game. It's so normal. I pretty much have the entire map permanently ingrained into my brain now. It's very real, and yet unbelievable that it's real at the same time. Yeah, I'm speechless.
We got 3 moments left. What could top that? Well, these are more story moments, and I think that we would have got here with these 3 moments, even if I had not kind of dictated that I think these are going to be the ones. But I think like all 3 of these are very important to me, very important to Metroid fans, and honestly video games at whole, as we get to kind of some of the big ones here. But let's go with number 3, and take your pick. This comes from either Metroid 2, from AM2R, or my personal favorite, Metroid Samus Returns. And that is Samus Spares the Baby Metroid. And, you know, we've talked about this a lot on this list so far, but like truly the entire 2D narrative revolves around the relationship between Samus and this baby Metroid. And it all starts here. It all starts with Samus making a decision and showing mercy and showing empathy, and how that changes the course of the universe in Metroid. Of course, like, her mission is go in, destroy the Metroids. They're too dangerous to be left alive. You got to get rid of them all. And keep in mind, at Metroid, you know, in 1991, Metroid 2 comes out. Samus is like not fully fleshed out as a character yet. So like at this point, she's not that far off from just like kind of like a robot that just goes and kills whatever is in front of her, right? And so like going through the game, you know, there's a lot of great like articles that are debating the ethics of Samus's mission in Metroid 2, and obviously that mission would have consequences, as we see with the rise of the X afterwards. But she gets to the baby Metroid, and in Samus Returns in particular, there's just like an amazing shot through the visor where Samus has her arm cannon pointed at this baby Metroid. He was floating around innocently. He's just been born, and Samus is about to do it, and she doesn't. And it's her showing humanity and mercy, which ultimately saves the universe multiple times over. I think it's just like such a powerful moment of like what Like, I think it's like when Samus becomes like the character that we know and that we love and that we cheer for and that we root for. And it doesn't happen without her sparing this baby Metroid. And like the entanglement between these two chief characters just really, I don't think, can be undersold. Like, every 2D game in some way, in some fashion, pays homage to this relationship between them. And I think it's a beautiful moment. I really love it. And it's an important moment for who we would know Samus to be going forward after Metroid 2.
Yeah, so like I said, the Dread reveal is my all-time favorite Metroid moment, but I do agree that these moments probably deserve to be in the top 3 just because outside of my personal significance, these have so much, reverberating effects throughout the entire series, and as we'll talk about later, through gaming as a whole. And so I think I agree with the placement of these, but I also agree that I absolutely love the Samus Returns cutscene of, the baby Metroid hatching and kind of, again, it's zero dialogue, but you see Samus's kind of internal thought process and struggle and ultimately that decision, and it's very powerful. It's such a well done scene, and I especially I love the moment where you never really see it happen before, but typically when you charge up a charge beam, you just kind of have to fire it. There's no way to dissipate it, but you actually see for the first time like the charge beam just kind of dissipating and deactivating right before she's about to permanently freeze and kill this Metroid, and that alone was just such a cool moment. But like you said, also kind of the switches between the first person and the third person camera to really bring home that whole idea, and then as we chose for the thumbnail, when Samus does lower her gun and instead takes her non-violent hand, if you will, to kind of outstretch and kind of embrace this Metroid hatchling. It's such a beautiful moment, and yeah, just in general, like as we talked about many times on this list before, something that will literally influence every single mainline Metroid game moving forward after this moment.
And you know what else it does too is, like, at this point, even in Metroid 2, like the very basic Game Boy, like, Metroids have never been presented as anything other than like a threat for the player. But like it does such a good job of, like, this thing just hatches, and it's almost like a little puppy almost, and you're just like, don't do it, Samus. Please don't do it, Samus. Like I did, like, the first time I played Metroid 2, I was like, don't do this. And Samus does it, and I think that it does such a good job of, like, immediately endearing this baby Metroid to players, and actually specific to Samus Returns, I love the fact that this baby Metroid is actually like your final power up, quote unquote, of the game, and like it explores the game with you, and like it really solidifies that bond between these two principal characters. So I think it's maybe one of the most beautiful moments in the series. I really love it, and yeah, it shows us that Samus has agency, that she is not just going to do what she's told, and that, again, like, she's right in the end for sparing this. She is vindicated multiple times over for this act of mercy, and I think that's really beautiful, and has, like, a really beautiful message to send to everyday life. So, and that's a really important precursor to what makes our next moment so powerful. This moment nearly, like, just lost out on being number 1, but it's at number 2, and it's close. And that is, I think we were all waiting for this moment from Super Metroid. The baby Metroid saves Samus. This is the single best storytelling in the Metroid franchise. I'm just going to say that right now. I think that it's storytelling at its finest. It's Metroid at its finest. It's everything that I want from Metroid. And of course, you go into Torian. So after your battle with Ridley, actually, the baby Metroid is gone. You see the broken test tube, but the baby Metroid isn't there. You go into Torian, and what have they done to to our baby. They've mutated it, they've deformed it, they've transformed it into the titular Super Metroid, and he's now this ginormous Metroid that is capable of huge destruction and very nearly kills Samus until it comes to its senses, realizes that it's attacking its quote-unquote mother, and flies off, leaving Samus with 1 HP. And during the climactic battle with Mother Brain, Samus just gets nailed with the murder beam against the wall. Can't even stand up, can't move, nothing. Samus is absolutely toast. And dude, out of nowhere, as soon as Mother Brain is about to unleash the final blow to Samus, the baby Metroid comes in and just attacks the head of Mother Brain. Like, this is such an awesome moment. Again, I defy anybody to watch this and not cheer out loud when this happens. It's so amazing that because Samus made the decision to spare this Metroid, the Metroid then in turn is saving Samus. And of course, its final act, its final sacrifice is not only shielding Samus from Mother Brain's attacks, but powering it up with all of the energy that it needs to defeat Mother Brain. I think the death of the baby Metroid is like the saddest moment in the entire series. It's another beautiful moment, and one that just like pays off so unbelievably well. I think that this would be many people's number one moment in the Metroid series, and I'm totally there with you. It might be my number one, I don't know, but I love this moment. I love the story of the baby Metroid and Samus. I love that they continually work together to save themselves and pick themselves up, and even in the most impossible or difficult situations, it's still there, and this bond is still there. I feel like it doesn't get better than this in terms of like storytelling for Metroid.
Yeah, I think this would have made my number one choice if I had the Infinity Gauntlet to make all the creative decisions. But silver medal is nothing to slouch at either, especially in a series packed with absolutely incredible moments. As we've discussed for 2 episodes now. This is like one of, if not the best storytelling moments in Metroid. And we talked about this during the Super Metroid remake episode, but if they ever do remake Super Metroid, God, I hope they don't turn this into a cutscene, because I feel like the fact that it happens during gameplay, I feel like that is like the glue that makes this scene work as effectively as it does. Because, it does just feel like a natural part of the battle where, Mother Brain is just, raining all this fire from above, and, you're getting pelted, and you think like, oh, I'm about to face a game over. And then out of nowhere, just as it's about to deal the killing blow, it rushes in and attacks and just starts absorbing. Like, if that was a cutscene and it cued you in, like you lose all of that surprise factor and that kind of that victory fist pump kind of. It's like, it's such an incredible scene. It kind of reminds me. This is a much later game, but we talked about it last year. It kind of reminds me in Hollow Knight, when you're facing the jellyfish, and I can't remember the character's name, but the samurai character that just joins you out of nowhere when you realize, when you're like, how do I damage this creature? And then the little samurai guy joins you and starts damaging it. It's like, yo, my homie's joining me. Let's go. That's some very similar vibes to that. But yeah, this moment is incredible. The sacrifice, it's gut wrenching but effective, and again, much like, the Ridley fight, it just makes you even more just ready to just put Mother Brain into the ground once and for all. Like,
oh, dude, such a high moment followed by such a low moment. The baby Metroid, its little scream as it's being destroyed, dude. Like, say what you will about Other M, and we say a lot, but like, I don't hate the idea of a game that focuses on the emotional fallout of this battle. Because like that was a big moment for Samus the character, and should be a big moment for Samus the character, and it's a big moment for Metroid as well, and just kind of shows like it shows like the type of storytelling that Metroid can be really effective at. Like it's different than Zelda. It's different than I don't know, some of your other story heavy Nintendo games, or even like your RPGs and stuff. Like it's a mix of just like environment, it's a mix of in-game, it's a mix of some cutscene, and it's different. And I think that this really shows like what Metroid is great at. Like moments 3 and 2 combined, I think are just like they're almost hard to separate, but they're so powerful
Yeah.
together, you know?
We didn't talk about this during the last moment, but you brought up the sound design. I also did want to point out I love in Samus Returns, I love that the Baby Metroid uses the Super Metroid sound effects for the Baby Metroid.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that they didn't create anything new; they just reused it, and it kind of blends in really perfectly.
I love it too. I love like everything about like this whole storyline. I think is like so fantastic. So okay, well we only have one left, Doom. We have one moment left, and this moment very early on, I think I was like, I think this is it. I think this is the one moment that you have to go with because it was a huge shock for Metroid. It was a huge shock for the series going forward. It was a huge shock for video games going forward. And of course, we are going all the way back to 1986, August the 6th. And players finish Metroid for the first time, and maybe they finish it with a really good time. And they are hit with the bombastic revelation. Our top Metroid moment of the last 40 years. Samus is revealed to be a woman. And that might sound trite now in 2026 as like there are so many strong and capable female protagonists, but like that was just not the case back in the early days of home consoles. And I think like this moment is really powerful for a lot of people. You know, it was very rare to see. I'm not going to say this was the first time, but I think this was the biggest one at the time where you had a female protagonist that was an ass kicker, that was not in need of saving, that wasn't presented in like an overly sexualized way, that was just like, okay, this is our hero. Like this is this warrior, and she's a woman. And you know what? It's the game went out of its way to kind of pull the wool over your eyes. It even refers to Samus as he, him in the manual, drops like a ton of misdirects about it. And I think that this reveal was just like so like powerful to really, I'll speak for myself, like normalizing that idea. Like even in 1999, when I was getting into like video games, like really getting into video games, like I'd always been a lifelong fan of games, but like really just kind of seeing them as art, versus like something fun that you play, right? Like I'm playing Super Smash Bros. And I'm like reading the trophy description for Samus, and I'm like, what? This dude is a girl? Like that's, I didn't expect that, because even then, like there still wasn't like a ton of video games that had female protagonists, and if there was, it was like Lara Croft, who was very sexualized, right? And so to me, as like a young boy, I was like, okay, that's really cool. I guess that's totally normal, and it normalized that to me at a very young age. And so I always like really enjoyed playing as Samus, because I was like, it's someone different, someone that's just like relatable, but almost like a little bit special in a sense too to me. So I think that this one was kind of a no-brainer, just for like the social impact that it had and for the shock factor as well, which, you know, it's hard probably looking back now because it seems like such a obvious and big part of Samus's identity, but like that was a huge shock to so many people back in 1986. That this one I feel like, yeah, very early on I was like, I think this is it. I think this is the number one Metroid moment.
Yeah, a part of me wishes that like I was alive like in the 80s to like really experience that, like, you know, in its prime.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Pun not intended. You know, kind of like it's kind of experience in the moment, because you know, much like you and probably much like most folks listening to the podcast, you know, I discovered that through Super Smash Brothers. I would say honestly, most people today probably discovered that through Brawl with Zero Suit Samus. Even more than just reading the trophy descriptions like we did as young lads. But yeah, absolutely. This is one of those moments that kind of it transcends Metroid in general. This is just like a gaming impact moment that really like that just like introduces this concept that like, yeah, you know, you can have this female main character, and not even not even so much non-sexual, because like, if you do get the some of the more endings, you get Samus in the bikini and whatnot, but like, almost like this, the character design of Samus, it doesn't adhere to even the non-sexualized female characters, it's crafted in a way that it can fit, a more feminine normative presenting body. That wasn't really what the character design was for a lot of those early Metroids, and even like modern Metroid suits to a degree as well, where so it really was this kind of shock. Like I remember reading, when I was reading the trophy description, just how much that surprised me. One, because it wasn't, that normal to see a non-sexualized feminine character, but also two, because, you look at the power suit design and it's very, at best androgynous, but, even more, somewhere between androgynous and masculine presenting.
It wasn't that
with the
dissimilar
power suit
from Mega
design.
Man at the time. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there isn't really a lot of like, feminine character traits that you would expect even in a non-sexualized female character design. And so I think even that kind of that bait and switch was really powerful, and it's one of those things that stays with you.
Like I think it was like a really daring move by Nintendo. Like they didn't have to do that. And by all accounts, they just kind of did it on a whim. Like,
I was about to say, it was something they literally decided on at the last second. Like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if she was a girl instead? And it's like, oh yeah, that would be different. Yeah, let's do that as a little Easter egg.
That decision just reverberated, I feel like, throughout the video game industry. Like, again, I'm not going to say Samus was the first like video game heroine, but like I think like the most famous at the time for sure. Like a lot of people would say she is the first lady of video games, and I think that is because they presented her in this way where it's just like Samus can kick just as much, if not more ass than any dude that you're playing as in any game that you have right now. And obviously like the inspiration from Ripley from Alien is obvious, and like Alien series in general is obvious, but again, that's what makes Ripley such an outstanding character in her own right too, because she again also wasn't kind of, there weren't a lot of female action stars at the time either, and there was Ripley who just like came in and owned every scene that she was in, and a lot of that energy you feel the same about Samus here as well. So I think it is, I would say for me personally, probably 2 and 3 are my favorite moments, but like as an important video game moment and something that Metroid contributed to the video game space, like I think this is number 1 for sure.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot that, like, in spite of how niche Metroid is, if you ask someone to give, like, their Mount Rushmore of, like, gaming women, I think most people would unanimously put Samus at least one of those spots. Would she necessarily be the George Washington? That's probably going to differ between people, but I think most everyone would agree that she's going to represent one of those heads.
Yeah, totally. So there it is. 40 moments for 40 years of Metroid moments, and we better take a quick moment here. I want to shout out all of the team that contributed to this. So first of all, I'm going to shout out you contributed a lot of written work to this article as well, Doom, so thank you for that. Myself, I did a couple of write-ups as well. From the Omega Metroid team, we've got Metroda, we've got Camellia Kettle Dragon, Griffin Only, Rez, Pikmineer, Dakota Lasky, and Game Worm, so all contributing a couple of articles for us here. Gooey Fame, host of the Flashback 64 podcast, and Gooey Plays Metroid was in on the action. From Zelda Dungeon, we had the editor-in-chief, Rod Lloyd, as well as copy editor, Nicole Scott. And for Metroid HQ, Elias Thompson was a guest contributor as well. So wanted to thank everybody that contributed to this article. I thought that it came together really well. I think that there is like a ton of great moments that you can look at and that you can just kind of debate and celebrate and discuss. So really happy with how this came out. Everyone's top 40 Metroid moments are going to look differently, but this was what ours looked like. So we would love to know what you thought of ours and what might be on yours. So let us know. Join our Discord. We've been celebrating Metroid all month long. So there it is. Whew. A long show, Doom, but a great show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next week, we are keeping it with Metroid. We're going to give you guys a sneak peek of GUI Plays Metroid. So we're going to be celebrating a first-time player's introduction into Nestroid, and then we have something special lined up after that. We're going to be diving into Metroid Prime Origins, and the anniversaries continue. After that, we have got, if you can believe it, 10 years. 10 years of Metroid Prime Federation Force. Yes, we are indeed going to be doing a couple of shows on Metroid Prime Federation Force. We might even rank all the levels. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but don't you worry. We'll find something for you. But we are going to get out of here. Before we do, Doom, anything that we forgot, anything that we need to plug before we race out of here?
No, I already plugged my Nestroid soundtrack, and any future projects that will happen during the anniversary, you'll just have to stay tuned and wait for the announcement of that.
All right, folks. Well, there it is. You heard it. That means that we are going to get out of here. We want to thank everybody for listening and checking us out on this mammoth show that we did. This probably could have been 3 shows, but hey, that's okay. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Go like, subscribe, recommend, rate, review. If you have a Metroid fan in your life, tell them where they can get their Metroid fix. We got new episodes dropping every single Wednesday. So just, hey, spreading the good word is one of the best ways to help us out. You could check out the full article linked in the description of this episode, but also over on OmegaMetroid.com. OmegaMetroid.com has all of your Metroid needs. It's got guides, walkthroughs, maps, articles, thought pieces, features, everything that you need is over on OmegaMetroid.com if you are a Metroid fan. And our YouTube page as well. If you ever want to watch these podcasts rather in video form, you can go ahead and check us out there. That is also where some of the remastered soundtracks live, as well as video walkthroughs. So go and drop a sub over on OmegaMetroid.com's YouTube channel. We do have a Patreon, as mentioned, patreon.com/SPNet. You can get bonus episodes. GUI Plays Metroid, the Great Metroid Area Ranking, where we do indeed rank every single area in the Metroid universe. There's a lot of them. And a bunch of other stuff there as well. There's a Zelda wing. There's a Lord of the Rings wing. There's a lot of other stuff over on Patreon as well. So $1 gets you in the door, so go check it out. And lastly, of course, give us a follow over on Blue Sky. We are at Omega Metroid, at Spiteri316, at Dumo Cross. That is going to do it for us, my friends. We are out of here, and we will see you next week. Till then, take care.